Yes. Never start a show when you've got hula hoops in your mouth. Good evening to each and every one of you. How are we doing? Haven't been live midweek for so long. We thought, let's go live because Spurs have signed Van Hecke and Lubo's clearly got something he wants to show us. Enoch, hang on. I've got breaking news tonight, people, and it's not just that Van Hecke has signed. Lubo is now Enoch in, and we're going to talk about it. Lubo, how are we doing before we get into all the fun and games?
Yeah, listen, we're actually doing fine. Thanks for asking me on. I did try and get hold of Viv and Nick for you before the show because you wanted to come on. Couldn't get them on the show, but Viv did send a message. She said she'd like to thank you for your support for Enoch now. 3 signings in 4 days. Transfer window's only been open 4 days, and she will try and subscribe to Football Heritage and maybe give a quick super chat. So, she's, she understands that you're now Enoch in, and she's, she'll make sure that the club get behind fhtv.
My owners. We'll talk about it. Just quickly, everyone in the chat, hello, welcome. Let me know if you can see us and hear us okay. Purely because YouTube's doing one of those things tonight where it's showing that there's 0 people watching, but I know there's not because people are typing in. So please let me know if you can hear us and if you can see us. That really would help. I mean, Lubo, we have got loads to talk about. We have got a new centre-back, Van Hecke. We'll talk about that mainly. We've got all the Tonali stuff, which obviously in our WhatsApp group, we have not stopped talking about Tonali for about 4 days now. We have got the Vuskovic stuff that's going on. We've got links to Somerville and Savio as left-wing options. We have got links to this player, that player, and every other player. We're going to talk about it. We've got people being linked away as well. Jed Spence is being linked with Everton. Reports are coming out tonight. Oh, look who it is. Look who it is. We're getting the band back together. We're getting the band back together. And we're going to find out if Stel is also Enoch in like you are now, Lubo. We're going to find out whether or not that's happened. Lubo is Enoch 2.0, Stel. He loves them now. He loves it. Don't you?
Oh dear.
Anyway, still, you good?
Well,
How's
exaggeration? Anyway.
Still, you good?
I think Lubo is more. Yeah. I'm good. I think Lubo is more Enoch. He's more don't know than Enoch 2.0. He doesn't know what he's doing, does he, Lubo?
No.
What I said today, he'll wait until the next thing that happens that he doesn't like, and he'll be back to Enoch out. So don't worry about that. So, yeah, as I was saying, we've got possible links with Spence going to Everton, Somerville, Savio being linked to us. We've got links with, we've just heard tonight from, I believe it was Ali Gold, maybe Paul O'Keefe, Lubo, you can tell me which one, that was talking about some of the youngsters are going to be on their way. Maybe not permanently, but that they won't get a game. So we'll talk about all of it. But Stel, let me start with you because I know Lubo's feelings on this. Obviously, the breaking news tonight, which I think we all knew was coming today. Jean-Paul Van Hecke, who said, Mickey's told me all about the club and he's told me good things. I think that might be a lie. Happy with this one, Stel? Is this a good sign of the Spurs?
Yeah, 100%. It's a very good signing. I did an analysis on him on my channel. And the one thing that really stands out. Well, is he doing analysis as well?
No, when he says, yeah, I just did a video on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Stel's got a channel, everyone, by the way. He's plugging his channel.
Who did you speak to? Alex or Mr. Box Office? Which one? Which one of the two did you speak to? Yeah, look, no, I think it's a really, really good signing because over the last 4 years, all his metrics have improved year on, year out. Aerial, goals, progressing with the ball into midfield, passing. If you just assess him as a player, all the stuff he's good at, he's got better and better and better. And he is Premier League proven, and he's played for De Zerbi, and he'll fit into the system. There's so much positive with this. The only downside, and every player's got a downside, is he lacks a bit of pace. and he can come unstuck if he's up against a really good press. But most players do anyway if the press is that good. So, but for me, if you're looking for a player who is in their mid-20s, Premier League proven, ticks a lot of boxes for a De Zerbi team, that's now ready at his age to go to that next step and really develop into a top player under a manager that could maybe help him get there, it all makes sense to me. So I think it's a really good signing. The price is a bit high, but you know what? We're desperate, so we're going to have to pay over the odds for most players we want.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, won't we, Lubo? We'll talk about that. Lubo, I know your feelings because we talk all day, every day. But Van Hecke played for, I think what Stel said is key, right? He's played for De Zerbi before, and apparently he sees De Zerbi like a father figure. Good signing. Happy with it.
Excellent signing. Listen, if he had Mickey van der Ven type pace, he'd probably be playing at Real Madrid, wouldn't he? He wouldn't be playing for coming to Spurs. So
true. Yeah.
You know, so for me, delighted. And the other thing also, you know, De Zerbi played a certain way just to get Spurs out of trouble for the last 7 games. He will now integrate the way he wants the club to play during pre-season and after, and doesn't have to worry about Van Hecke because Van Hecke knows how he plays. So he just slots straight in, which is great. So well pleased.
Let me ask you boys then, because I think this is really interesting. In my mind, what this means, this is only my mind. I don't know anything. I don't know anyone at the club. In my mind, this means Romero's going, and that we're going to see a brand new back four. And by that, I mean Porro will stay, and I think we're going to go Porro, Van Hecke, Senesi, Van der Ven. Now, that's in my mind, right? We're almost recreating the Netherlands back four, if you will, with Senesi instead of Virgil van Dijk. Stel, do you agree? Do you think there's still room for Romero? Do you think that Robertson will be left back and it will be 2 of the 3 centre halves? What's going on?
I've got one which I want to.
Oh, I forgot about Stel's internet.
They're coming in tomorrow. They're coming in tomorrow to sort it out, Sav.
Yeah, what the internet?
Yeah. The mayor banned the underground digging. He told me for the cabling, so they're putting the cable over his property across the roof and down. So he will have internet from tomorrow. Okay.
Well, you tell me then, Lubo. One, is Romero gone? And 2, what are we going to see Mickey in a slightly different role next season, or do we think that it will be one of 2 that play at centre half with Adogi or Robertson at left back?
Listen, he could play 3 at the back, couldn't he? Could very easily play 3 at the back.
He doesn't normally, though, does he? Like he has
done. You know, he has done, and he can play around. You know, he can change systems to suit matches, to suit situations within matches. He's, you know, the defence. If Spence stays, and hopefully he will. Thought he had a nice little cameo yesterday for England. Came on just when they needed it. He injected some pace, and he was making late runs. You keep Spence. You've got Udogie and Robertson as well. You could play Mickey left back for his pace. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if you got Savinho and then you've got Van der Ven and Savinho down that left? They will they'll kill most defences for pace.
Rapid.
So it's looking good. It's looking good. This Enoch back De Zerbi project looks like it's.
We'll get into your newfound love for Enoch in a minute. Don't worry. It's why I invited Stel on. He's the voice of reason these days.
But Sam, if Romero goes, that's going to cut your moaning down by about 50%, isn't it?
Well, listen. I hardly stream anymore, so I've got less time to moan. So it's all good. Just quickly before I go to Stel on that. Interesting that you brought up about Jed Spence, because we all go and we want 2 people in each position, right, Lubo? If you're Jed Spence and you've just seen Pedro Porro sign an extension to his contract, are you sticking around with one game a week, knowing that you've now got Robertson, Udogie, and Van der Ven who all play left back, so he's not getting a game there, and Pedro Porro's in front of you at right back? If you're Jed Spence, are you asking for the move? If you're Jed?
Well, this comes back to the whole thing. We've been so used to having a first team and maybe one or two others that we've never looked at it as a squad, as a squad game at Spurs.
Yeah.
Because Uncle Joe and Daniel never gave any manager the backing to go out and get the quality players that we needed for a strong squad. Now this might be starting to happen. Might be. And you can see De Zerbi's looked at the defence. 183 goals conceded in 3 seasons. Oh. I know last season was better because it was 57 as against, I think, 66 or 67 the year before. So it was a slight improvement.
The Thomas Frank effect. Yeah, the Thomas Frank effect.
I think probably 7 conceded in the last 7 games probably helped. And he's looked at it and he's working from the back first.
Yeah.
I would imagine that Spence and his agent will be having a chat with De Zerbi and just seeing how the land lies for them.
Yeah. Especially if he has the World Cup. I mean, still, let me ask you: one, is Romero off? And if not, how are we fitting all these people in? And what do you think is going to happen with the back line next season?
Well, I've actually got a bit of an issue with the back line because all the players we've signed, none of them are good in the air. Senesi's not good in the air. Van Heck's not good in the air. Robertson's not good in the air. And Ben Davies is just crap all round. So for me, as much as, Senesi and Van Heck on the ground are ballers, and on the ground, they're definitely perfect for a De Zerbi team, in the air, they're all weak, which means you have to play Danzo, because if not, you've got a real problem from set pieces, and teams will suss that out and they'll target it. So the only other way around it is you've got to bring in a number 6 who's good in the air. Guess who's good in the air? Belieber and Paulinho. Paulinho hasn't signed a new contract, and it doesn't look like we're going to sign Belieber. So I'm concerned about us defensively from set pieces. With Romero, I do think he's probably off. So there's a reason why we're bringing in all these defenders. Mickey van der Ven, is he staying or going? I don't know. I'm not going to get carried away with this. Oh, look at this. Enoch are putting their hands in their pocket. Oh, and look at this change. And I'm not doing any of that because for me, when De Zerbi came in, defensively, we looked far, far better. He, in my opinion, made us defensively better. My issue with this team, bar anything else, is the entire front 3 and the lack of creativity in that midfield. In that 8 role, a proper box-to-box player, someone that controls the game. Unless we sign another right winger, a left winger, a proper striker, and some cover in that midfield, there is no point with all these defenders. It's early doors. I'll judge it once the season starts, but I can't get excited, Savva or Lubo or the audience until I see us fix this shocking.
We're going to get to that because Lubo and I have been having some back and forth with a few others over the last few days of me trying to say, look, everyone's telling me it's different. And I'm like, well, is it? So far, it's 2 free transfers and a bloke who had 1 year left on his contract. And that's not to say they're not good signings, but it's, we'll get to it. We will get to that, I promise, because I want to see what Uncle Lubo's got to say.
Do you know what it is, right? I never felt our defence needed a lot of tweaking. It needed a bit of help, but I don't think it needed major tweaking. When I watched us play under De Zerbi, we had better ball possession. We looked a little bit more solid. He had a couple of players come back, which helped him that Frank and Tudor didn't have. But I just thought when we got into the final third, we still looked shit. Oh, and that's why I need to see that fixed up more than anything.
Well, look, let's move on to that then, lads, because I can't agree more. And Lubo, I've been saying this to you for ages. Yeah. Look, I'm slightly different to Stel, but I agree with Stel at the same time. I don't like the back 4. I've not liked it for years, right? I've not been the biggest fan of Romero. I'm not the biggest fan of Udogie. So I get what he's doing. However, I'm also really greedy, and I want a brand new 11, right? Like I want a whole new team. I'm bored of what we've seen. But, listen. If this is still ENIC 2.0, and they're going to chuck hundreds of millions at it, go and get me something new in every position, and let's go again, and let's be excited. But Lubo, we've had this chat a lot, right? In our little WhatsApp. It's not really a football group. It was meant to be for the barbecue, but it was, anyway. Where we're talking about the midfield area. Let's talk about the midfield area, and we'll link that into Tonali. Now, when you look at the midfielders at the moment, you've got Bentancur doesn't look like he's going anywhere, right? Signed a new contract. I think he was pivotal to keeping Tottenham up. Yeah. Gallagher's just been signed. He's not going anywhere. There's talks that De Zerbi wants him as a captain type figure. He's not going anywhere, right? Basuma's gone, but you've got Bentancur, Gallagher, and then you've got Sarr, Gray, Bergvall, and then the question mark of does Paulinho re-sign or not? Now, the problem with this that I've had, Lubo, and everyone gets annoyed with me if I say I don't want Paulinho, they get really annoyed, is you're playing one game a week, right? Which means if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, only 2 of these 5 or 6 central midfielders start. So what happens in that midfield area, Lubo? Who goes out, who comes in, and what do we need?
If Tonali comes in, then for me, I probably think Bergvall goes out, probably on loan. I think he will. I think he'll keep Gray.
I agree.
Because Gray is more of a defensive midfielder than Bergvall. And if you're bringing Tonali in, you've got Gallagher. You've got who are both box to box. You've got Maddison coming back, who in terms of goals is going to help. In terms of scoring and creating, he had a GA of about 2021, I think, the year before last.
Yeah. So
if he
always scores an assist, Maddison. He does. Sure, whatever people think about him, he always does.
But if you've got 2021 goals that you didn't have this season, then that's going to help massively.
Of course.
That'll help massively. And then you've got to get, I mean, he's looking for 2 wingers. That's been widely reported. We all know he's looking at Savino. We all know he's looking at Somerville. They're the first 2 that have come out. I'm sure there are possibly others. I saw Johnny talking about a young 19-year-old kid, I think, who's...
Oh, is it El Mala?
Yes. Spurs might be looking at him. So he will rip up the team. And he will add quite a lot of players. But how many when you look at the project, you're looking at it and you say, right, it's going to take 2 or 3 years to rebuild this. I mean, it's taken Arteta 6 years to rip everybody out, get rid of everybody, bar Saka and Martinelli.
Yeah.
And he's finished up with the Premier League. It took 6 years and 12 windows. So we can't expect De Zerbi to just get us.
Of course.
Back in, and bring that many players. Arteta's brought in about 26 players in 12 windows, I think.
Yeah.
Plus ones that haven't worked that he's moved on. So understand he wants 6 or 7 players in this window. So if he gets 6 or 7 and they're all there or thereabouts first team, then for me that's a massive change. I agree. For one window, you go and get 6 or 7 that are going to be part of the main 12, 13, 14. That's terrific.
No, I completely agree with you. Let me ask you still, because you started this off right by saying going forward is the problem, and I completely agree with you. Right, I completely agree. I think everyone could see last year, didn't matter which of the 3 managers were in charge, we were awful going forward. You got Kudus coming back still, right? Well, I think we know Kudus is going to play. Now he can play on the right wing. He can play in the 10. What else for you needs to happen? And what else is going to happen in that central midfield area? Because that's got to change, right? It can't just be workhorses. There's got to be a bit of a Tonali, a Wharton, there's got to be some guy who'll put in there, right?
Right. Let me say this. It's going to back you up a little bit here when you said you want 11 new players. When Poch came into Spurs, now you're going to like this. You're going to like this.
No,
when Poch came into Spurs, after his first season, he got rid of 12 players and began a rebuild at Tottenham. And look how good we became. Klopp, when he went to Liverpool, only 2 players survived after 5 years. That was Henderson and Sturridge. All the other 24, 23 were gone. Arteta, when he went to Arsenal, only 1 player survived after 5 years, and that was Saka. Spurs won it. And by the way, Arsenal finished 8th and they got rid of everyone. Liverpool finished 8th, got rid of everyone. We finished 17th 2 years in a row. For me to be genuinely convinced this is a new thing, within 3 to 4 years, the whole thing has to be gutted out. A completely new Tottenham must exist with De Zerbi still here, having built his squad, because that's what Liverpool did and they were successful. Arsenal did it, they were successful. Tottenham did it, we were almost successful. That's what needs to happen at Tottenham for me to genuinely be happy. And what I'll say as well, when I see things like Ben Davies re-signing, I literally lose my shit, because that's exactly what Liverpool and Arsenal did not do in their process. So stuff like that has to stop, right? That has to stop.
Just quickly, Stel, I agree with you. I think the only reason that has happened this time, I could be massively wrong, so don't shoot the messenger. I think it's because after next year, I think he's going to go into a coaching role. Yeah. So I think he's going to be, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the 11. If you think about it, you've got Udogie, Robertson and Van der Ven who all play left back. You've now got 4, 5, 6 centre halves. I think this is to ease him into a coaching role. That's only my opinion. I don't know for sure.
I think there's three reasons for this. Number one, he will go into coaching. Number two, he's there in the event of an emergency injury crisis. And the third one was that we are desperately short of senior pros who are leaders at that club. And they might have
He's not a pro, he's not a leader. No, Lubo. Well, he's not a pro. He's absolutely
one of the leaders in the dressing room. Now, listen,
he's part of the problem. We've been a mess for 10 years. He's part of this problem.
Well, listen, I don't think, as Savva said, I don't think he'll get anywhere near the first 11 still. I think he's just there as a last minute emergency, and basically they'll bring him onto the coaching staff. Can I count this? They probably dropped his wages still to that of, the position he's in. So you more than anyone tell us that we should put 200 18-year-olds in the team, right? You more than anyone. What this has done? You're only 100.
Hold on, right? What this has done. By giving him, hang on. But
this is who's Pro Academy? Hang on. Who's Pro Academy? You want 300 in the squad? You want every?
No, I don't want 300 players. You think Archie Grays and Bergvall's magnificent? Ben Davies, if he wants a coaching role, give him a coaching role. By him being in the squad, he takes up the place of a potential signing. But worse, he's blocking the pathway for an academy kid that could maybe be developed. So what I'm saying is, look, it's done. He's here. I'm not going to moan about it all season, but little things like that is exactly what Liverpool and Arsenal didn't do in their rebuild. So if we're going to get serious, things like that have to stop, right? Look, it's happened. I'll drop it. But still, for me to really believe, it has to stop at some point. That can't carry on.
Do you think it could be? We've got Sosa and is it King, the young lad who signed the left back Lubo from the youth team? Is it King? Not King. Who's
Kramich is the
no?
One
who's the left back?
We've got Robertson, Udogie, Sousa. That's 3, and Van der Ven. By the way, Van der Ven.
Yeah, that's what I said. Mason King.
King.
Yeah. So we've got. For me, I think what they're going to do is, I'm not worried about that. I think in years gone by, I look at it and go, oh, Ben Davies again. But with the signing of Robertson plus Van der Ven, I don't know what's going to happen to Udogie, but I think what they'll probably do is just have Davis as an emergency. And then next year, I think King or Sosa, one of them will come into the squad. I mean, that's what squad planning should be, right? The difficulty I think we've got this year, guys, before we go back to what I can't even remember what we were talking about. I think the difficulty we've got this year, guys, is because we're playing one game a week. This is not a year where young players are going to get a lot of chance. Because if you look at the teams that played one game a week last year, you look at Fulham, Bournemouth, right, Brighton, Brentford, right? They generally keep the same 11 where possible, and it's more difficult to be giving people game time because there's nowhere to try them out. So I think what they'll do is get those kids out. I would get Sosa out on loan. I would get King out on loan. I would, Gray, Berg, whatever, and then bring them back when we've got 2 games a week. Sorry, Stel, I think we went off piece there, but yeah, you were saying about what Spurs need to do, midfield and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was just in midfield. I don't think we've got a proper number 8 at the club, an out-and-out 8. People are even arguing over what type of 8 we need.
Yep.
I think we don't have a proper, as it stands now, number 6 at the club that's going to play De Zerbi football. Left wing is a mess. I'm not going to sit here saying, oh, but, Tell's going to come good. I'm not doing any of that. I think Tell's very average. We don't have a proper striker at the club. They're very underwhelming or poor performers. And the right wing needs addressing as well, because if Kudus is injured, what is there? There's nothing. So we need at least 3, minimum 3 attackers across the front line. And we need attackers stroke wingers. We need an 8 and we need a 6. So what do we need is your question. We need minimum 5 midfield wingers striker, minimum 5. If just one of those is missing, I think we have problems, because what is left just isn't good enough. It's just not. It's not.
I think you're right.
Worthy of the Spurs shirt.
The thing is, still now we've done Robertson, Senesi, Van Hecke. Let's be brutally honest. We don't need anything else at the back. Like, I think the only way we're going to need something at the back is maybe Spence wants to leave, right? Maybe Spence wants to leave because he's not going to get a lot of game time, and we go and buy a rotational right back. Maybe. I don't know, right? But you would think that Dragasine, Romero, Ashley Phillips, Dorrington, you would expect them to all exit the club, right? There's nowhere for them to play. However, I agree with you still. Going forward, I don't want to watch Tell on the wing once a week. That's not my guy. I don't care. If you want to loan him out, loan him out. We need to be ruthless now. Go and get a proper left winger. Go and buy another right winger that can rival Kudus, right? Go and buy listen, I want 2 strikers. Realistically, one of the others stays, right? But we've got to have a new striker, and we've got to. Still, you are bang on. We need that main guy in the middle. You know, that guy that every team has where they don't argue about who should start in midfield this week because there's your main guy. You know what I mean? Like at Villa, John McGinn, he's the main guy, right? Him and Tielemans are the main guys. They start every week, they play. Wharton every week for Palace. You know, we could do this all day long. We need that guy for me still. And that for me, this will piss people off. I don't care. Right? That guy for me, and Lubo, sorry, you've heard me say this a million times. That is not a Paulinho. Paulinho for me was brilliant for what we were last year and what we needed last year. Now I think we need to go to the next level, and we need we'll talk about Tonali in a minute. We need a Tonali. We need a Wharton. We need a Stiller. We need a guy that doesn't just tackle. We need that guy that can win the ball and everything goes for him still. Do you know what I mean? Everything. The guy that comes and picks the ball up off the back foot.
Are you talking about the 8 or the 6, Savva? Are you talking about an 8 or a 6? Because I think we need both.
I think we need I think we need what most other teams have got. I think we need that hybrid of the guy that does it all.
Well, Chelsea got Caicedo and Enzo for those 2 positions, haven't they?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but again, Caicedo is a number 6 by trade, but he's brilliant on the football, right? So he does both. Enzo's more of your, I'm going to go that way. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got Palmer who just links it all together. For me, we've got Gallagher who does the box to box and the running, right? You've got Bentancur who can knit together some nice stuff depending on the team. We need a main man. That's just my opinion. But Lubo, you both know this. I've wanted this since Moussa Dembele went. I think we've got it wrong in midfield for 7 years. So let me lead that on. Tonali, right? I've got my views on it. I want to hear your 2 views. I don't think either of you are going to tell me that he shouldn't come to Tottenham. And I question anybody's intelligence. I'll say it. Sorry, I'm back if this pisses anyone off. Anybody who is putting videos out there as to why Tottenham don't need Tonali, that just blows my mind. Is he gettable? Realistically, guys, is he gettable? Because I've got my massive doubts. Is he gettable?
I think he is.
Okay.
I think he is. I think, listen, we are due. We tried with Gibbs White. We tried with Eze. We tried to a lesser extent in terms of gravitas for Savinho last season. One of these is going to come off. And you've got to keep trying to break the pecking order, because if you don't, then you're not going to progress and you're not going to compete with these top clubs. If we had new owners coming in with plenty of money, they would come and say, right, Spurs are back, we're competing, and we'd be looking for that statement signing. So it's no different than if new owners came in and wanted to like raise the whole profile of the club. And by going in for Tonali, this is something that ENIC haven't done. ENIC haven't gone after a high-profile, high-money signing since for me since before ENIC bought the club. So for me,
do you think this is a more high-profile? I'm not going to say signing because he's not. Is this a more high-profile target?
Yeah.
Than Eze and Gibbs White?
I think it is.
Good question, right? Someone asked me that at work today.
Yeah, I think in terms of, I think what edges it is the fee, because the difference here, they're all quality players, but the difference here is that they're going that extra mile, which is something I always went after Levy and Lewis for, because they never went the extra mile. They took us so high, and they were happy getting 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and getting into Europe, but they never went the extra yards to help us compete. So for me, yes, this is different, because
so
90 million. Levy would never think about spending 90 million.
Sure, I'll come back to you in a second on this, because I want to get Stel. I know you like Tonali. Me and you have talked on WhatsApp. I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy, by the way. All the people out there going, he's not right for Spurs. He's not what we need. Fuck off. We need everything. Stel, is he gettable? I.e., I've always said this for years, what's the draw if Man City, Arsenal, etc. are at the table, that's not a word, are at the table, what have we got, Stel, that makes him go, I'm going there instead of Champions League and people who win titles? What we got?
I think he is gettable. Just how Cunha and Mbeumo went to Man United when they didn't have Europe. If we pay the money. But if we procrastinate and we dilly-dally, and then Arsenal or City or any other club comes into the mix, then we're not going to get him. I think he 100% goes to those other clubs because they're bigger, better, and they're in Europe. So if we want him, we've got to get it done quick. This is the mistake we made with Eze. We waited all summer long, and then we just got absolutely slapped in the face by Arsenal. I think these fans that don't want Tonali, I think they're mentally deranged. I think I've brainwashed them into wanting relegation, and they actually still want it to happen, because if we don't get him and we stick with the current lot, these are the same people that made videos saying Solanke fixes the Spurs press. They made videos saying Rouhani is the striker we needed. They said
solves Tottenham's midfield for the next 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Pape Sarr's going to cook. Yaya Toure replacement. It's like the people that made those videos are now saying, no, we don't want Tonali. No. He doesn't tactically fit. Tonali is one of the most tactically adaptable midfielders in the league. Let me say that again. He doesn't fit the tactics, but he's the most tactically adaptable midfielder. It makes no sense what they're saying. They haven't got a clue what they're talking about. He conducts a midfield. He progresses the play. He pushes the team forward. He gets himself around the pitch. The only kind of downsides with him is he can't really control the tempo of the game. But I think that's partly down to the fact he's been playing in a Newcastle team that won't play this system. And he can be coached to adapt to a system where he might have to control it. And that's the job of De Zerbi, right? De Zerbi's got to earn his money. So
still, let me back you up here. Right? Because Tonali, and again, this is where it's very different, right? Tonali at Milan, right, was a very different player to the Tonali we've seen at Newcastle. So if people go and look at his passing stats and the role he actually played at Milan, it was very different to what he's doing in an Eddie Howe system. But also, could it be that if you get a Tonali, now I'm skeptical, right? Listen, I've got to be skeptical because Spurs have failed to get so many players that I don't allow myself to get to the point where I'm going, I can't believe we're getting Tonali. I just can't do it, right? I want to be shocked. I want to go, what? What? Tottenham? Then it'll be like Lubo's ENIC 2.0 have done what? And we'll talk about Lubo's ENIC 2.0 in a minute. And yes, I've sent Sean the link. But still, last thing I was going to say, could it be that if you got a Tonali in the midfield, rather than having the guy that sits and controls, that is why he's gone and got both ball progressing centre halves in Van Hecke and Senesi, that they step in and they dictate the flow of the game from deep. And then you've got Tonali, Gallagher, Maddison, whoever it is in the middle that can get on the ball and make things happen. Just a thought.
100%, because I think what fans are doing that are against Tonali is they think he's Pirlo, they think he's Christian Eriksen, they think he's Modric. He's nothing like those players. He's not that player.
Agreed.
He's a different type of midfielder. But if you go and watch Newcastle play, whenever he's on the bench and he comes on, look how the game changes in Newcastle's favour, how the momentum begins to shift. Yeah. He has that impact because what he does is he pushes the team forward. He's a very progressive player. Look, if you want someone that's going to go and get you goals and assists, that's not him, right? He's not going to be doing that. But if you want someone that's going to push you upfield and get the team attacking and get the team on that front foot and keep that momentum going, it's exactly the midfielder he is. And if everyone wants attacking football at Tottenham, that's the kind of midfielder you need then, because he will get us attacking. And he's not scared to get stuck in. He's not going to,
he's a physical lad, isn't he? I mean, I think this is.
Listen, I like him. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's a very.
I think it's class. Right, I just can't allow myself to get excited still because we've been here how many times? This is like the guy that asks the girl out 10 times and still goes back even though she keeps saying no. Right, like that's my club at the moment. However, Lubo, let's slightly reposition this. Forget tactics, forget all that for the moment. If Tonali comes into Tottenham Hotspur, what message does that send to other players that we've gone and got Van Hecke? You've got Senesi, who's got all the brilliant stats at the back. Whatever people think of him, you've gone and got Premier League winner, Scotland captain, Andy Robertson. You've now gone and got Newcastle's main man, Tonali. What message does that send to other players and to the rest of the league?
I think listen, it'll be brilliant because that's the statement signing that is needed for other players to sit up and take notice. And if you've got Kudus, hopefully Kulusevski, Maddison all coming back in, you buy a couple of wingers, you've got Tonali there. All of a sudden, you're playing Mickey wide at left back with his pace with Savio down one side. You'll have Porro / Spence with maybe a Somerville down the other side. or Kudus or Kulu, and all of a sudden, you're looking at a very good side that isn't going to compete with the top teams, not quite, but you're looking at probably challenging for Europa League. There's no reason why not. United went from 15th or 16th to 3rd. Now, I don't think in any shape or form we're gonna jump like that. I think that was a lot to do with they bought a very good keeper and they bought 3 strikers, and they're also underachieving massively as well. So put the two together, it was also a funny season where the levels came up or down, whichever way you want to look at it. And it was very concertinaed around the European places for a long time. So a lot of the teams were taking points off each other. And I think it's probably the lowest points total for God knows how many years that managed to get you into Europe this season. So all of that contributed to United finishing 3rd. I don't see that happening with Tottenham.
Doesn't go back to what Stell said though, Lubo? Like when Stell talks about the forward line, whatever we talk about Man United season, Man United still went out last summer and went, if I'm not wrong, it was nearly bang on 200 million.
Correct.
But Mbeumo, Cunha and Sesko. And everyone went, Sesko's crap. But they started to, as the season went on, all 3 of them started to find their feet. Sesko started scoring regularly. Cunha and Mbeumo looked better. And we need to do that. To Stell's point, we need to do that, right?
So if we do get, by any chance, Savinho and Tonali, then with Van Hecke, we would have spent 200 million. So
sure.
Look at it, they are, they're making money available.
Okay.
These owners, whatever you think of them, whether it's ENIC or ENIC 2.0, I think, and I've got to go back to what Johnny said,
Hold on, Lubo, 1 minute. You're right. You can only say they're making money available once the money's been spent.
Correct. What I said was, if we get Tonali and Savino, then you're looking at an outlay of 200 million. Before anyone's been told. Before anyone's been told.
Money we raise as well, because it could end up being that we just balance the books as always.
Well, yes. No, listen, I'm sure they'll be looking to move on probably Richarlison, Vicario, Romero, Dragerson, Sarr. There's 5 players you'll get money for. How much? Who knows? But
you're right.
You're going to get 100 million plus.
Yeah, so they're not spending money. They're just raising money by selling players, right? We want to see them spend £200 million regardless what happens, because that's what. Can
I be honest? I want to see them. If they raise £100 million in player sales, I want to see them spend 300 million this summer.
Exactly.
I want their money where their mouth is. I want to turn around at the end of this summer and go, 100%. You know what? Fair play. Now, I'm going to caveat in a minute because I know Lubo will pull me apart in a minute. I want to say fair play. What a great window. But I'm going to caveat this, Lubo. But for me, still, it cannot be we've had one great window because we were absolutely in the shit and they had their backs against the wall. They've then got to go, all right, we spent 300 million this summer. What are we doing in January? All right, we need to add a top, a top right back in January. Goalkeeper. Go on. Next summer, right, we now need to get 3 or 4 out. We now need to go and go 4 or 5 top players again. That's when I will know it's changed. Not balancing books, not one good window. I need to see repeat behaviour to see that it has changed. Now that sounds negative. I need to see it.
No, it's not negative. No, it's not. This is what I said last month. For me, because Sean and I were having this debate about it, and I said, for me to believe there's change, this window doesn't prove anything. For the next 4 years, every summer, Spurs need to act big. Because it's consistency that makes you a big club, not one good window. Because that's the only way we're going to become the team that we want. Because that's what Liverpool did. It's what Arsenal did. It's what all the teams that are successful, Man City, that's what we have to compete against, which means every summer you need to have a really good window. We don't have to buy 5 players every summer, but whatever you buy, whether it's 3 players, they better be good. They better be proper players. No more kind of randoms like Bogies and Moanis and Greys and Odeberts. This has to stop.
See, I don't want us. I don't want a window like we want to have a great window. So, for example, I'm just going to spitball here. If you end the window and you've got in Robertson, Senesi, Van Hecke, you then get Tonali, you brought in Somerville and Savio, and you've got Ivan Toney, just for example.
That's a great window.
I want to turn around and go,
that's a great
brilliant,
window.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't then want to see in January or the next summer, we go, right, now we're going to go and buy 3 more 19-year-olds. No. I want to see us put down the money for good footballers. Everyone's so worried about the kids. Everyone's so worried about the future. For a couple of years, can we worry about the now? Can we be a team that worries about Tottenham Hotspur's first team for a few years? That's where I'm at with it.
Listen, we finished 17th twice, so he's got to strengthen the squads so that we're back up competing for European places. That's the priority. We've got plenty of kids. I've been saying this for months. There is no shortage of kids there. And you also got coming through, you've got Byfield, Luca Williams, Barnett and Tyler Thompson coming through. So there's no, you've got kids coming through from the academy. You don't even have to think about looking at new kids. Unless they are that good, unless they are that special. You look at it, I'm not saying you obviously not a Yamal, but there are kids that are coming through that are like the boy that played for Morocco.
Oh yeah,
someone like that who Arsenal are going for. He's what is he? 18,
quality
19?
youngsters, Lubo, but Spurs have been buying the ones that apparently need 3-4 years to get going.
Yeah.
Other clubs
they've been buying potential, and that's Lang. Now Lang shouldn't be anywhere near any recruitment anymore.
I agree. But you look, what I want, Lubo, is if we're going to buy young players. Now, I'm not bothered about the age, by the way. Everyone talks about age so much, right? I don't hear the top clubs worrying about age. I hear the top clubs and the fan bases, they want the better players. If the better player is young, great. But for me, what we've got to do is if you're bringing in a young player, it's got to be like when Palace bought Wharton. They bought him in, stuck him straight in central midfield because he was good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like with, Bournemouth. Bournemouth seem brilliant at it. Krupi, Rayan, they go out and get them and go, boom, you're ready, go. We seem to keep getting all these players that we make loads of excuses for, that they're young and they need time. We're Tottenham. We're not, you know what I mean? We're not a youth football club. We're Tottenham Hotspur. I know we've gone off the rails a little bit there, but let's get back to tonight.
That leads you in, though, Sav, to we need a top sporting director, head of football, a top football director. And that will solve a lot of problems. A lot of problems.
I agree, but let's get back to Tonali. Because first and foremost, I'm going to ask you a question. I find it funny. When all these content creators put these videos out, right? I'm really worried he's not the right profile. And first and foremost, we don't have a style of play at the moment, right? At the moment, we need De Zerbi to implement a style of play. So one, Stella, I'm going to ask you, what are they actually comparing? Is he the right profile to? And two, are we getting to the stage now where football fans are getting so silly that as a football club, we can't just look at a top player like Tonali and all go, yes, that we're now debating whether a player of that level is good enough for what Tottenham need?
I think the online space is just deranged. I don't. This is one of the reasons I came off Twitter as well. It's just a farce. You got people saying, "Oh, Tonali doesn't suit our system," and then in the next breath they're saying, "I really think we can come second next year." What? What? Second? Can we get top 6? That would be nice. I think De Zerbi's going to play out from the back, look to progress it quick up the flanks. If he has to go through the middle, he'll go through the middle, be very direct, get to the front three. If the shot's on, we'll take it. If not, they'll be a bit more patient in the build-up and try and find those killer passes between the lines. I think you're going to see players making runs so the actual number 10s can make a pass to a runner. We're just going to play attacking football, but without being kamikaze. It won't be handball where if we do come unstuck, the defence is so high up the pitch that they're just constantly in emergency defending mode. I think it'll be more controlled, but we'll take risk, but it'll be calculated risk, not just risk for the sake of risk. Yeah. So players that come in will have to be able to play that kind of a football. But at the same time, De Zerbi, when he came to Tottenham in those 7 games, showed if he's got to play a bit of a miserable type of football just to get the result, I think he's got it in his locker to do it. Yeah. So he's not going to be. I don't think De Zerbi is going to be a stubborn manager, which is something we haven't had for probably since Poch. Because every manager since Poch, Frank, Mourinho, Ange, Conte, they've all been very stubborn. I think De Zerbi. Let's call him De Zerbi. I think De Zerbi is going to be quite a balanced manager, which is a word we've all been crying out for. Can we just have some balance, please?
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I think he'll do it.
I think for anybody looking to understand the way he plays, just look at the way Brighton played a couple of years ago. They play the ball out from the back. They draw players in. They draw the opposition in and then play quick triangles around them to break into midfield, and they're away. And, you know, it's so how is Lang going to go out and find a De Zerbi player? What he's doing at the moment, I'm told, him and Mackenzie are doing loads of data analysis on loads of players for De Zerbi, and De Zerbi is making the decision because he knows how he's going to play. So he's the one that should be telling them that fits my sit. He does. He doesn't. He does. He doesn't. Go and get him. We've got 3 or 4 there that do, 3 or 4 there that don't. Go and investigate. Let's go and check which players would be interested in coming to Spurs. So for me, forget Lang. He's not involved in pinpointing the players. He will do the homework. He'll do the data analysis. But De Zerbi, I think, is controlling it. And do you know what? The guy deserves it because he's come in. He saved the Lewis's $1.5 billion on the asset on the value of their asset. He saved them 270 million for next season. He deserves to be given that opportunity. And I've always said, you know, a manager stands or falls on the players that he picks and selects with tactics. So for me, this whole thing about a manager not having very little in terms of selecting the players he wants for his team and his system is wrong, because the manager will suffer. He will be the first one to go. You can't get rid of 20 players, but you can get rid of a manager quickly and replace him. So the manager should be the one who's picking the players for his style of play. Now, in terms of building a culture, if you've got a culture of the way you play, then you bring in the manager to fit that culture. So you got continuity.
Yeah, so that when De Zerbi goes, the next guy comes in is of a similar ilk, plays a similar type of football, so you don't have to change the entire squad for the manager. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask you guys, though, before we move on from Tonali, because obviously it's going to be a talking point, and I've got my doubts. I've got massive doubts. I'm going to ask you this. Stella, I sent you a WhatsApp voice note this morning, and I think kind of word for word it was, my issue with Spurs won't be if they can't land Tonali, because I think that's a really difficult deal. So if Man City or Arsenal take Tonali, I'm not going to sit here like most fans and go, oh, Enoch couldn't get... I don't expect it. My big thing, Stel, is I want to know, all right, if you do not get Tonali, you know what I'm going to say? What's the plan? That's what I want to see, not another 4 weeks go by and all right, Tonali said, sorry, De Zerbi, I love you, but I'm off to play for Maresca at City. I want to know the next day, right, who are Spurs in talks with? Because we've got option 2, option 3. Is that fair to say that?
It's what has to happen, but the problem is we've got Lange here. And I disagree with you, but I think Lange is involved because Lange wanted Robertson. Lange was here when Ben Davies signed a contract extension last year. So I think Lange is having an influence. That doesn't mean De Zerbi isn't having a say, because he is. But if we don't get Tonali, it's right, over to you, Lange. What's he going to do? I mean, this is the problem. We need, for me, we really need to sort out this football director situation. My fear was if we stayed up, Lange is going to stay. And I think he is going to stay. This was my fear. I hope I'm wrong because I want him gone. But of course we need a plan because there's a high chance a lot of these good players we want, we might not get. We're not going to get every top player we want. It's not going to happen.
Of course.
So there has to be a plan B and a plan C. But then that's when that's the role of the football director. That's the football director. The Zerbi hasn't got time to go scout the world for players. He'll say, look, I've seen that player, have a look at him. Oh, one of my guys in Italy told me about this player, have a look at him. He'll do that. And I'm sure he watches football, so he'll identify some players. But the whole point of a football director is to support the manager and the team. So it's down to Lange to go and find plan B and C. Does anyone here trust him to do that? Because I don't.
So my next question to you still, before I bring Lubo back in, rather than me doing that, let's just talk all of us. Do either of you trust that there is that plan in place? Now, people will go, oh, you don't need to because we're landing Tonali. But let's be brutally honest. As much as I don't like the owners, as much as you don't, Stel, as much as you pretend you don't, Lubo, we know you now love them, right? As much as we pretend we can say we hate the owners, this is a bloody difficult deal to get done with who we're up against. Do you guys believe that they've got plan B, plan C, plan D ready? Or is this just let's make everyone happy by thinking we're going for the £100 million player? It doesn't happen. And then we have another month of, right, well, where's the midfielder we need?
Do you know what, guys? Do you know what I would be very content with, honestly? And I'm only going by past experience. That's why I say it. When Poch began his build, we signed a lot of players that either we'd never heard of before or who weren't particularly amazing, and Poch developed them. And the mistake we made was once we were actually that top four club, we didn't go for the Tonalis, we didn't go for the Ezes then when strike when the iron's hot. I would be happy if we just signed lots of Van Hecks and Senessis in all different positions that we don't really have to go toe-to-toe and compete with lots of other clubs for. Build the team up over the years to become top four. Then when we're top four and we're in the Champions League and we're playing great football and we're getting to semi-finals, say, right, go get Tonali. Go get Akalush. Because then I think we can really get them. And we won't waste our time pretending, do you know what? Yeah, we can get Tonali. I think that I would, and by the way, I've got no issue if we did that.
No, I agree. Just
don't do that.
Just quickly, Lubo, before you go, for anyone who's not watching the World Cup, Switzerland have just taken the lead against Bosnia, and it was a very nice volley as well. So just thought I'd put that out there. Lubo, do you think there is? Do you think that they've got Tonali and then this guy and this guy lined up?
You could listen if Tonali doesn't come off. And are City going to spend 220 million on Anderson and Tonali?
Yes,
because that's what you're talking about, isn't it? That's literally what you're talking about. And who have they bought? They bought Gahey. That was what, 30?
Yeah, they bought Gahey. They bought Semenyo.
So that's another 100. So that's 100 there, 220 there, 320 million in 6 months, 7 months.
But would you put it past it?
That's what they do, though, isn't it? That's what City do.
So,
see, Lubo, I'll tell you what, Ben Kaufman made a really good point last night, didn't he? You know, Ben said, could it be, when we're talking about Man City, could it be that they know there is something coming down the pipeline in terms of a ban? And if you go and get it, let's be fair, Man City...
Like Chelsea did with Lampard when they got the ban.
They've just gone and got what? Cherky, Reinders, Guehi. They got Kusanov who's coming into his own. They've got Vardial who's getting better and better. You know, if they go and get
Donnarumma,
Haaland's a good age. If they go and get Anderson and Tonali, you can slap them with a 1 year, 2 year transfer ban, and they're gonna be okay, right? So,
but how much can they spend without selling? They're not selling.
They'll sell. They always do. Don't they?
No,
City and Chelsea always sell players for money.
Who's been leaving?
Huh?
Yeah, but Lubo, they'll sell assets from one business to another business, like Chelsea did. They sold themselves a block of flats or whatever, and they'll find a way. They always do.
For me, if you haven't got Tonali, then for me, I would be looking at James Garner at Everton.
Good player,
straight away.
by the way.
Really good players. His stats is, you know, watching him on Match of the Day and watching him live, both games, he looked very, very good. His stats were superb. And Everton fizzled out near the end. Last 7 games, I don't think they won a game. But up to that point, I thought they had an excellent season, best season for a while, and he was at the heart of it all. So for me,
by the way, his data, what Stel was saying earlier about Van Hecke's data year on year, if you actually look at Garner's data year on year, his tackling is brilliant. His passing is brilliant. His ball recovery is brilliant, right? His forward passing is brilliant. His accuracy is brilliant. I'm not saying he's a number 1 target, but I feel like that's the type of player that could come in and then you can go bigger another time.
The other thing also is that Spurs will attract probably another level up when they're back in Europe as well, because players want to play in Europe. You know,
so is that a reason why would okay, so I'll go back to the Tonali thing. Why, lads, why would Tonali come to Tottenham with no Europe and you've got Arsenal or City? And by the way, I'm not worried about City. I think they'll get Anderson. I think this has got Arsenal mugging us off 2 years in a row written all over it. That's only my opinion.
Yeah, but this is what I said, Savva. That's what I said earlier. I said, if we get this done quickly, we can get him. But if we're going to procrastinate and allow other clubs to properly get in the mix, we're going to lose. Well, just like we didn't get Diaz. We didn't get Diaz quickly. Liverpool came and got it. Same with Eze and Arsenal. Yeah. If we want Tonali, it's got to be done in the next 7 days. If we drag this out,
for sure. Listen, Arsenal are in for Morgan Rogers. They're also in for the young kid from Leicester, Jeremy Monga. So you know they're adding. They've got in
and Solis.
And Solis. So in that position that
he's a player, by the way. He is a player, by the way.
He's the one we should have bought for the wing. For me, much better than Savio. I think he's different levels to Savino.
Yeah, very different.
A few times, and something about him that Savino doesn't have. There's a
Lubo. Do you know Savino in his first season at City? He only came second to successful dribbles to Doku, and he only came second to assists behind Bernardo Silva. Honestly, if we get the Savino that went to City in the first season and he puts up those stats, he's a really, really good player. Last year, everyone's focusing on it too much, and they're ignoring the fact that he was rotated in too many positions. He had injuries. He had a very unsettled season last year. Savino, there is an animal waiting to be unleashed in him. It just needs the right consistency of games, position, and manager. He's a player, honestly. Savino's a really good player. He's not had a good season last year. One bad season.
What's worrying is I know it's slightly off piece, but still on it, is if Arsenal add Solis and they add Morgan Rogers, I mean, we can kiss goodbye to, you know, we'll be looking in their rear view window. They'll be looking in their rear view windows at us for ages. But the point is, I think that they're going to be the club that come in for tonight. It's only my opinion. But why would he come to us without Europe? Like, this is is it the promise?
Because Newcastle don't have Europe, Savva. Newcastle don't have Europe. He's not getting it.
No, I know. No, I know. Yeah, no. But my thing, I've got no doubt that he leaves Newcastle. It's just if you had Tottenham, Arsenal, and Man City all on
then he's not coming to us. Then he's not coming to us.
Why? The reason I feel that Tonali could join us is the De Zerbi factor. There's no other reason. If he has sold him the dream, you know, you're going to come in, you're my main man, we're building a team around you. This is the project. We are going to be really successful.
Is that stronger than the Arsenal factor or the Man City factor?
No, I'm just saying that, you know, what he's going to say to him.
That's got to be. Still, Lubo's right. That's got to be the only chip we've got is they know each other, right? And be my main man. That's got to. I'm not saying that's enough. Still, listen. I've said to you, I think there's a 10% probability we get Savio. I'll be happy to be 90% wrong. I'll be so happy if we get Tonali.
If you're Tonali, right, and De Zerbi says to you, come and play for me, I'm building a project, you're going to be my main man, we're building it all around you, then Arsenal pick up the phone and say, we've just won the league, come and join us, and you can win it again. Or Man City pick up the phone and say, we didn't have a good season last year, but we won 2 trophies. Come to us, you're guaranteed silverware, no matter what, even if we have a bad season. This is what we're gonna. This is why we need to do it now.
I agree.
They pick up the phone. If you're Tonali, you're thinking, "Oh yeah, go on then.
You're right. Go quick." Do you know, like this for me has got to be the only hope for me, and I'm probably the most negative one here in terms of Spurs transfer. Actually, Stella and I could probably have a debate on this, but for me, it is if they have gone to Newcastle and said, because personal terms are not going to be a problem. Contrary to any belief, personal terms for Tonali are not going to be a problem, right? We can give him $250 a week. It's not a problem, right? It's going to have to be, right, Newcastle, how much do you want, right? If the answer is 90, just for example, let's not then spend 2 weeks playing the game of 72, 70. Do you know what I mean? I know it's not that simple, but let's
think they will.
Boom. There's the money, and then,
Listen, they went in. Brighton said at the end of the day they wanted 52, no 45 plus 5 add-ons or any of that nonsense. We want straight 52, and we want to sell on for any profit you make on him. So, and they paid it. They went in and they paid it. No messing about. They paid it. And the first offer, I was told, wasn't too shabby either, and wasn't a million miles away either.
But we've given 20% of the asset away as well, Lubo. We've had to cave in, haven't we?
No, of any profit that we make.
No, it's 25. It's 20% of the sale value.
It's not. It's 20% of any profit.
It's not, because so you're saying if we sell him for less, they get nothing. No, that's not true.
Check it out. That's out.
Why would you agree to that?
That's what I read.
But if you're Tottenham, then no, you wouldn't agree to that, because if you're Tottenham, then you'd make sure you don't sell him above 52 million. You deliberately do that.
Hang on, but why? Hang on, why? Why would you deliberately? If someone came in and said we want him for 80, well, of course you're going to take 80, because only 20% of that, you're only giving them 5,000.
No, you're right. You're right. I stand corrected. You're right.
Either way, right? I think it's okay doing that with Van Hecke, right? This is a different level for me. Listen, I love Van Hecke, but this is a different level. This, for me, is not about the player anymore. This is about fending off the other clubs. And that's where I want to see. If Spurs can get this over the line, I have my massive doubts, but if they can, for me, I just think it's the catalyst for, okay, we can now go to, I don't know, a striker or a winger of high quality and say, well, we just signed Tonali. We just signed Van Hecke. We just got Senesi. Come and be the next guy, but on the wing or up front. I think this could be massive. What I'm worried about is the not getting him and not having a plan. I'm sorry, I go back to, that's my worry, is that it's not.
We don't know, do we?
The plan.
We can't answer that, can we?
Of course we can't. Of course we can't.
We can't answer that. But if we do get Tonali, if we do get him, Sam,
yeah,
right. Are you going to give Viv a Nick free membership for fhtv?
You're Enoch. You're Enoch. Don't forget that. You're Enoch now. Enoch 2.0. But listen, we'll move on from him. Before we do, Stel, if I had to sit here and press you for an answer right now, is Tonali going to be a Tottenham player this summer?
No.
Lubo?
I don't know. Genuinely don't
know. No. None of this fence sitting. None of this. We need a yes or no. You want to say yes, don't you? You want to just say it. You want to say yes.
I'll say yes.
Yeah, I know you too well. I'll go with no. Not that I don't want him. I just don't trust Tottenham Hotspur, and I genuinely think that this is the problem. Like when we go back to agent talk, let's be fair. The moment Spurs have a bid accepted, his agent is going to notify one of the big boys, right? I've got no doubt about it. So if we get it, absolute fair play. I I just don't. I don't think we will, but I hope I'm wrong. Guys, we just mentioned Savio just now. The news that came out today was that the two wingers we want are Savio and Somerville. Both very quick. Both can take a man on. I think both have had difficult times for different reasons. Savio not getting as many starts. I think Somerville's been in a team that doesn't really allow him to play, if that makes sense. I mean, West Ham aren't really a free-flowing football team. What do we make of these two? And would we get both of them still?
I don't want Somerville. I wanted him 3 weeks ago, and then I did my analysis on him. I put my video out, whatever. And one thing I realized with him is he had one unbelievable season at Leeds where he got 10 goals, 7 assists, ridiculous GA. He was player of the season in the championship. They got promoted. Like, he had a phenomenal season. He hasn't had a single season close to that in the Premier League. He has never done it in the Premier League. I'm just talking about output. So if we're looking at goals and assists, he simply hasn't done it in the Premier League.
Couldn't we say that about Savio for devil's advocate? Couldn't we say the same about him?
If you look at Savio's output in his first season, it was actually half decent. He's
12 GA in 75. 5 goals, 7 assists, I think, Savio, in 75 matches. It's not fantastic. It's not great by any stretch.
One second. If you look at Somerville, when he's in the Championship, he's a very different player to when he's in the Premier League. And I just feel that Somerville maybe, listen, it's just my opinion, isn't cut out for that level that we want in the Premier League. Whereas,
so let me interject. Let me ask you.
You look at Harry Wilson.
Sure.
10 goals, 7 assists, set piece maestro, scores from distance. His dribbling stats, Harry Wilson's dribbling stats at Fulham are very bad. But if you look at his output is brilliant. He is right up there. So I'm purely saying this from an output perspective, because for me, what I feel is sometimes we get carried away with dribbles and this and that and flicks and tricks and successful passes. If you're going to play as an attacker at Tottenham, I need to see two things. What do you create and what do you put in the back of the net? And a player like Somerville hasn't done it yet in the Premier League. He hasn't. Whereas Harry Wilson,
devil's advocate,
different level.
Purely devil's advocate.
Yeah.
For both of these players, by the way, this could be devil's advocate. Could it be, though, that if both of them were coming in to play De Zerbi style football once a week, and they're both getting 90 minutes because they're playing in an attacking team and a team that plays once a week, could we start to see that very different? Because still, the big thing for me, I'm a fan of Savio, right? I think as a footballer, he pisses over any of our wingers other than Kudus. I think as a footballer, he technically, his touch, his control, his dribbling is just levels on that of Telenoba. Like I'm talking about he's up there. The output hasn't been there, but for me, he gets 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there for Man City. He doesn't start, right? He doesn't start for Man City. He never gets a run of games for Man City. And what I saw him do at Girona, I thought, this boy can play. So could it be that for both of them, maybe De Zerbi can, I hate the term unlock, but realise that potential that's in both of them?
Okay. A player like Savio, you have to let him unleash. He had a very free role at Girona. He played under a manager whose attacking style was wild. It was Ange ball, but not suicidal, right? Girona was the Wild West, and that suited Savio brilliantly. Just go and play. Just go and do your thing. Whereas at Man City, I've noticed this with Pep because he did it with Grealish. He can be a bit over-controlling. No, I want the ball there. No, when this happens, the ball. He's a master tactic, right? Pep is the master of what he does. And for a player that needs to be just free, it might be a little bit restrictive. Not always, but for some players, it might be a little bit restrictive. And I think Savio was a player that suffered in that environment. Whereas at Tottenham,
also,
I don't think it'll be restrictive. I think it'll be a little bit more expansive. Just.
Still, I completely agree with you. But also as well, I think what we've got to remember is that when teams play Manchester City, teams put two banks of 4, 2 banks of 5 behind the ball. So wingers in a Man City team, for me, it doesn't suit a Savio. Savio's game, I think, this is, again, only my opinion, right? I think Savio is the typical winger that needs grass. He needs grass to run into. He's that guy. Whereas Doku is your skill guy. I will do it in tight spaces. I can knock it past you with 1 yard. I think Savio's the guy that wants to like how Bale played in his first year when it was grass to run in, gone, right? I'm not calling him Bale, by the way, before people go mad, right? That's what I think Savio would get not being at Man City. So I'm not knocking Pep. I think Pep's the greatest coach there's ever been. But you have to be a certain type of player to play for Man City. I don't think Savio is that. I think Doku absolutely is that. And I think he'd be really good. If I think everyone would fast forget about the lack of goals and assists he got at City if he played 38 games for Spurs, 90 minutes a game.
I think it's down to style of play.
Great.
And the players that you've got. If you look at Kudus' stats before he got injured, they weren't great. But if he had Harry Kane playing up front with him or Sonny, from 2 or 3 years ago, then Kudus' stats would have been much better. 3 goals and 5 assists in half a season. He's not great, but look what he was playing with.
It's still 8 in about 19 games, right? It's not the end of the world.
18, something like that.
Do you know Savio's got 2 goals and 9 assists, and Mohamed Kudus got 2 goals and 5 assists. Fair play, Kudus was injured as well. But if we're going to praise Mohamed Kudus, when you just look at output, there's not much difference between them. And we praise Mohamed Kudus through the roof, but Mohamed Kudus' output isn't spectacular.
I agree with Lubo though.
3 goals in 26 he scored. 3 in 26.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at league, he got 2 goals and 5 assists in 19 games, right? So 7, let's just say he doubles that in the season. You're looking at 14 GA across the season. Look, for me, I think this is where we need to look past the GA. And I'll tell you why. Because Kudus, for me, was playing in a god-awful team with Solanke, Richie, Tell, Oda. For me, he played in a team that had no playmaker, no left winger, no strike. For me, what are we expecting? However, now I'll throw this at you. Next season, you've got Savio on the left, Kudus on the right, Maddison in the 10, and Tonali in the middle of the park. Suddenly, you're telling me that those numbers for Savio, for Kudus, don't start creeping up? Just for me, I think
if we've got people that can actually score goals and they stay in the box, not drop to the halfway line like Richarlison does, then yeah, we've all our attacking stats, both individual players and team, will improve if we have goal scorers in the team. If we have actual goal scorers, it will naturally improve.
And what you'll end up with will be like a couple of years ago, the season before last, when you had a 90 GA across Maddison, Kulu, Sonny, Johnson, and Solanke.
We lost 9. But this was my point to you boys, right? Right. This time last summer was we've now lost 90 GA from Son, Kulu, Maddison, and Solanke because he was out for 6 months. My worry last year is the same when it is right now, by the way, which is what Stel said doing the show. Right now, you can buy the great defenders. You can go and buy Tonali in midfield. If you do not supplement it with people up top that can grab goals and assists, we're not going to be this team that suddenly elevate into the top 5 or 6 and play in Europe because we don't score goals.
We do not have goals.
But if you had the same sort of goal scoring ratio split across 4 or 5 different players, year before last, Solanke got 16 from 45. You could live with that from a striker. If you've got
that in all comps.
Yes, all comps.
Yeah,
He scored about 10 of those against
Yeah, I want to stick to league because I'm not counting goals that are scored against teams like that are called FC Belagona from like if we're looking at league though, it still stacks up. That how many goals did you lose from Son, Madison,
Premier League,
Solanke for 6? Like because Solanke was out for 6 months, and if we do not change that this year, and I think we will, if we do not address that. And are we going to bring in a guy who gets 25 in the league up front? I don't think so. I don't think there's many of them about. But you need 20 from your wingers between them, right? Madison to get 10. And then you need a striker grabbing 15, 16. If you do that, we're laughing. But can we do that?
So did Solanke play against Everton? He did, didn't he? Did he play? I think he did.
He scored a goal against them, didn't he? He scored one, I think.
No, in the last game. He's 12 in 42 or 12 in 43 he scored in the league.
Solanke is not going to get us the goals, guys. He's not going to do it.
He's got 12 league goals in 43 league games.
Yes.
He's not good enough.
No, you can't. Yeah, so you can't have
great.
You can't have that unless he would get away with that if we had Son in his peak. If you had a Son in his peak, banging in 17 goals from the left wing, you get away with it, i.e. Liverpool. Liverpool haven't had a guy up top that scores 25, 30 goals, but they've had Mo Salah on the right who grabs 25, 30 goals.
I mean, so let's 3 in 16 this season, and last season was 9 in 26.
Yeah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Can we just admit Solanke should not be at Tottenham? This is to me the best Spurs teams I've seen in the Premier League were Poch's and Redknapp in terms of finishing top 4 consistently and actually playing really good football. Solanke and Richarlison do not get into either of those Redknapp or Poch.
No, we know that. Still, we know that.
So therefore, if we want to get back to
strikers,
that, but Lubo, what I'm saying is, if we want to get back to that, we can't have any discussion with those two involved. They've got to go. Richie and Solanke both have to go. Whether it's this year or next year, we can't depend on those two if we want to be a serious team that scores goals. At best, we'll get 10 goals out of one of them. At best.
Yeah.
And they'll miss about 40 chances each in the process.
My personal feeling is that Richie's only got 1 year left on his contract, so he'll be the one that goes.
I agree. I agree with you, by the way, Lubo. I agree with both of you. I want both to go. I think it will be Richie that goes. I think Solanke will be there. Now, I can live with that. Only me personally. Before Stel gets annoyed at me, I can live with that if there is a number 1 striker bought in front of Solanke. So if you turn around and said to me next year, and I always use Ivan Toney because for me it just suits. Premier League experience, England international, very good in the air, great penalty taker, scores with both feet, holds the ball up well. If you're telling me Ivan Toney's my number 1 and Solanke comes off the bench for 15, 20 minutes, I've got no problem with that. If you're telling me, though, that Solanke is our striker next year and Will Lancashire is our number 2, for me, I'm then going, right, we're not serious. Like, for me, that will show me we are not serious because none of the other clubs around us have players at that level up top.
What worries me is if we do what you just said and we end up with Solanke and Lancashire's number 2, I'm going to have to go for a whole season listening to people saying, I trust my manager. In De Zerbi, I trust. And I can't just listen to just blasé comments like that. No, you can't justify having crap strikers because De Zerbi's the manager. That's not an excuse.
It can't always be that under this manager, this player is going to suddenly. Do you know what I mean? I hear this with every player that's bad. I hear this next manager, and you're like, oh God, will they? Will they though? I heard this with so many players.
Listen, I go back to what I said an hour ago. Liverpool, Poch, Arsenal with Arteta, Klopp, when they rebuilt, they got rid of everyone. 99% of the squad went. It was no more of the culture from before. No more. Even if you're half decent, you were part of the problem. I can't have you getting in the ears of other players. I want to wipe this slate clean. This is a proper rebuild. Yeah, that has to happen over the next 3-4 years. It has to. And that means Solanke, I'm sorry, See you later. And you, Richie, and Moani, and Tell, and Odeber, all of them. All of them.
Well, let me move this on, guys, right? Let me move this on. And by the way, whoever said that, yeah, you're absolute Chasey. You are absolutely right. I am not. If this happens, nothing has changed. Where is it? Down here. I don't know why. If this happens, nothing has changed. This cannot be the centre forward for Tottenham Hotspur in any way, shape, or form. This guy is nowhere near it. That's just my opinion. Guys, let me ask. So the report today from, I think it was it O'Keefe or was it Ali Gold when he was talking about the youngsters? Yeah. And he said that it could mean that some of them move on. And the names he mentioned were Sar, I don't know why we're calling him a youngster, Tell, Bergval. Where are we at with this? I'll set my stall early so that you guys can go. I couldn't give a shit. I don't care if any of them go, right? I could not care less any of them, right? I don't want to watch Tell in a Spurs shirt. Bergval for me has been massively underwhelming and Sarr has to go. Where are we at with the youngsters conversation, guys?
I think when we signed Bergval, I was excited to see what he could do and develop. Barcelona wanted him as well. When he had a pre-season, he looked like he could play. The club's been a mess. So I think for a few youngsters, they've been misguided and miscoached, in my opinion. Yeah. What I would do personally is this. If we can get really good money for some of these youngsters and reinvest that money into talent that is ready, I'm happy to see them go and bring in a player that's ready, as long as the money is spent wisely like that. What I don't want to see is we sell Johnson for 30 million, 20 million, and we bring in Sousa. That I don't want. Yeah. I'd rather just keep Johnson, right? Just keep Johnson then. However, if we can't get good money for them, loan them out to Premier League clubs, prove that you can do it, and if you prove yourself, come back to Tottenham and we'll see what happens. So I think it's a balancing act. If we sell them for good money, we've got to bring in proven talent. If we can't sell them for good money, put them out on loan and give them a chance to prove themselves. Otherwise, I don't see how they're going to get the game time needed to improve at Tottenham when we've only got one game a week, because they're not going to improve if they don't get regular game time. It's not going to happen.
Lubo, and Stell makes a brilliant point at the end there, doesn't he? Once a week doesn't really facilitate saying, like, for example, if we take let's take the main four, the main four youngsters that we signed a couple of years ago. So if we look at Tell, Gray, Bergval, Odeber, obviously Odeber's slightly different because we know he's out until the new year. But assuming that none of those are first team starters, which in my mind they shouldn't be if we're serious, this will be year 3 for those players, Lubo, where, like Stell said, we're playing once a week. They're not getting sufficient game time for us to be able to go, right, learn and grow. So what's the benefit in keeping them in and around Tottenham this year if they're not going to get game time? Because surely then, and I promise I'm getting to the point, surely then we're then going into next season going, well, is this the year for Telberg, Valgray? And do you see what I mean?
I think, yes. I think that the issue is the lack of game time that they're going to get. I think if you bring kids in who are promising kids that you think you can develop into really good players for the club long term, the last type of what's the word? Atmosphere is the wrong. The last environment. The last environment you want for those kids is what they've walked into for the last 2 years.
Sure.
Because it has been absolutely horrendous. And you look at it, Gray's been thrown into 7 positions? I think the only positions he hasn't played are goalkeeper and up front. Bergval this year, I think, has had a broken season with injury, but he's regressed, unfortunately. And again, he didn't suit the Frank way of playing. It's players are there.
Hang on, I've got to interject. Right? I think we're blaming the club a lot for the. Could it not just be with some of these players, Lubo, that they're not what people thought they were? Like, I've never watched Bergvall and gone, you're good at anything. Like, I think he's busy, he works hard, he runs around, but he can't tackle, he can't pass, he doesn't create, he doesn't score goals. I don't know what, like, could it just be that he's not as good as people thought? Could it be that?
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, kid comes in from the Swedish second division. He's already in the full international Swedish squad. He comes in, as Stel said, pre-season. He's 18 years old. He's doing well for an 18-year-old. I think players, people judge players like they're senior pros, like they've been around for 5 or 6 years. And these 18-year-old kids aren't that. So for me,
why are they that at Fulham? Why are they that at Bournemouth?
Okay, but you get the odd one or two. How many at Fulham and Bournemouth haven't made it, Sav? You only see one or two successes.
But hang on.
But a lot of it has got to do. Hey, let me finish. I think a lot of it has got to do with the team they're being thrown into, the form, the confidence, the tactics, the style of play. There's so much that goes into it.
And they're better footballers.
Whereas Phil Foden, and extreme, we're going to the top of the list now, the top of the list. But Foden went into a team full of established top internationals. They made his life easy. He slotted in. He wasn't walking into a horrendous situation where you had kamikaze tactics with Ange. You had a cure for insomnia tactics with Craig.
One thing you don't mention in any of this, I've noticed, I've been listening out to hear the one word that you don't mention in any of this, right? Is quality, right? So when we're talking about, I know you went to the extreme with Phil Foden. Phil Foden goes into the Man City team, right, in front of senior pros when he was 16, 17, 18, because he's bloody quality, because the boy can play. Krupi goes into Bournemouth because he can play. Right, Rayan goes in because he can play. The one thing that I never hear us talk about, we blame everything else. We blame the club. We blame this. What about, where's the quality? I don't see any quality in Gray,
Savva,
or Berg. I don't see it.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with what you've said. But there are instances where sometimes players need a chance. Harry Kane's a good example of that.
Sure.
He wasn't quality until we were desperate because Adebayor was a mercenary, Soldado was a flop. It was do or die with Kane, and luckily for us, he stepped up. So sometimes kids just need a chance. What I think, though, just focusing on Tottenham and De Zerbi, what was very telling for me was that when we only had one game a week and we had to stay up, he dropped all the kids. All of them got dropped, and it worked. So if you're De Zerbi and you're thinking, right, next season, I want to try and see if I can get us back into Europe top 6, 7. I don't see how these kids are going to get the chance when he's proven to himself, I dropped you to stay up. I'm going to drop you to get top 6, 7 because it's my job. Have we got the time and the patience to develop these kids next season with one game a week? The answer is probably no.
Right.
The answer is probably no.
And that's my point, because now, and this was my original point, now we go into not this season coming, the year after, and you're now going, right, they've been here nearly 4 years now. So now we're going, well, what, by now, I would have expected that one of them at least, and I don't believe that all of them are ever going to make it. By now, one of them, for me, we should be going, he is quality, he's played himself into the first team. I'm not looking at any of them and going, you're Tottenham Hotspur standard. Sorry, but if we want to be a better team, I think we need to be ruthless like that. So I'm with you still. I think if those bids come in, get rid of them. If they have to go on loan, get them on loan. But I'm just not seeing it.
Do you know what I would do? What I would do is I would keep 3 or 4 or 2 or 3, whatever number you want, kids that I think are really good, right? Me as manager, I think, I actually think you 3. Keep them. And where we're in games and we're 3-0 up or we're in 2-0 up, completely dominating, 25 minutes, 30 minutes to go, tell one of the kids, right, you've got 25 minutes, go make a name for yourself. And if you shine, you'll get another chance next week. And integrate them, but when the game is pretty much done, and see what happens. If there's scope for that, I'm all for it. But for them to be part of a team that they get minutes every single week so that they can really develop, it's just not going to happen for them.
When you say the young players, sorry, Lubo, just before you come in, when you say the young players, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page here, because I think that terminology starts getting lost. Are you saying that from more of a Williams, Barnett, Thompson, Byfield from the youth team type young, or that we're still pretending that Gray, Bergvall and Tell are children when they're not? They've been for a number of years.
I'm talking about Mikey Moore. I'm talking about Barnett. I'm talking about Vuskovic. I'm talking about these players that haven't yet played minutes that potentially might have something about them. I think, listen, I'm on the fence with Bergvall and Gray, right? I'm really on the fence with them, but they're at a point now where they are never going to make it at Spurs unless they get regular minutes. And I don't believe they're going to get regular minutes. So it's in their interest to go on loan.
I agree.
Or move on, because they're not going to get the minutes. And if they don't get the minutes, they're going to go backwards. Do you know what they're going to end up becoming? Carter's Vickers. They're going to become like Carter's Vickers.
Yeah.
Players like that. They just float around and just never, ever do anything.
Well, I've got to tell you something. Bergvall's played 78 games in 2 years and Gray's played 80. So they've had plenty of game time. Those are appearances. I'm not saying the 90 minutes. Those are games where they've stepped on or at some stage over between the first and the last whistle. So De Zerbi's only going to have a squad of around 20 outfield players. Forget the keepers for the minute. 20 outfield players. So you've got 2 players for each plus a few kids, because there's only one game a season. If you've got players like Gray and Bergvall, after 3 years, you've got to make a decision. But if you send them out on loan and you give them good loans at good clubs and they get good minutes and they come good, then when Spurs hopefully in 12 months' time have got European football, there's far more opportunity. Because more games you play, more injuries you get. I mean, that's natural in today's football. And they will get more experience, more chance.
So you agree they need to move on then, Lubo? They've got.
I don't think they do. I think Gray needs to be bulked up. When I look at there was a 4 or 5 match periods after Christmas where I think he had 4 GA in 5, and then you look at he came up with a couple of good goals. The footwork that set up Solanke for the goal against Palace was superb. He's shown, and against Madrid, he showed the level that he should be at regularly.
Lubo, would you keep them at Spurs next year, Gray and Bergvall?
I would probably put both of them. Depends who else I buy in midfield. But if Palhinha goes, Basuma's gone. If Sarr goes, that leaves you with, at the moment, Bentancur and Gallagher. So it all depends whether they re-sign Palhinha.
Let's say we sign 2 new midfielders, right? Would you keep Bergvall and Gray at the club next year?
So you've got how many midfielders? If Gray and Bergvall are what, 5,
2 number 10s, you've got number 8.
4 Gallagher. You got those 4, and then the question is, what are you doing over here with Bergvall and Gray?
Probably keep one and loan one.
Right. Let's say you keep one. What position is he going to play, and who's he going to keep out of the squad when he plays?
Well, you're going to get injuries. Still, you're going to get injuries as well. We're looking at it. We're looking at it like everyone's going to be available for every match. They're not.
So therefore,
he's only got 4 in front, right? He's like.
This is fair. This is fair. So if you're going to keep them in case of injuries, when they're sitting on the bench every week waiting for an injury, how are they developing? How are they improving?
Well, that's the problem. That is the problem.
But exactly. So why would you keep them then? Is my question. Why would you keep them?
Still, if you didn't have Gray and Bergvall the last 2 years, they made 158 appearances. Look at our injury record.
But that's because of our bad recruitment, Lubo, isn't it? That's because we didn't buy proper midfielders to play.
No,
correct.
But the point with all the injuries, if they hadn't have been there,
But then I could argue we finished 17th twice, and it wasn't until they were dropped we avoided relegation.
Well, listen.
Okay, let me put a spin on it, Lou. But
I just don't see how they're going to get the minutes to become the players
let me put a spin on
it. You needed experience to get yourself out of the hole that we were in. There was no question about it. You needed players who
need experience to get top 6.
So hang on, let me ask you guys a question.
You need experience.
I want to get the chat involved as well with this, right? And I'll do some super chats in a minute. And I'm only going to go for another 10 minutes, guys. I'm not used to this. A full work day and then streaming. It's a bit long. I'm getting old and tired. Let me ask you this question, guys. If you were going to loan them out, if we're talking about, let's forget selling them. Let's say Bergvall and Gray, for example. Realistically, and people in the chat, realistically, what clubs do they go to? And don't think emotionally about it. Think sensibly about it. Where do those two go? Like, is there anywhere they go in the Premier League where they're guaranteed a start? Because that is, again, the point of what you were saying, Lubo. If they're going to get a loan, it's got to be the right loan. Correct. And I don't see where those two go and someone says they are guaranteed 90 minutes week in, week out in the Premier League. That's where I think the whole Spurs conundrum is how do we give them minutes with one game a week? And where do they get minutes in the Premier League? I don't know. I don't think they're good enough to play for any Premier League club. That may sound harsh. I just don't think it myself.
Well, listen, it's
sorry, just quickly, Martin, sorry, just quickly. Sorry, are we just forgetting who Brentford and Bournemouth have got in central midfield? And this is why, when I said think about it realistically, guys, are we saying that Archie Gray goes into Brentford, who are a very good team with good midfielders, and starts? Are we saying that Archie Gray starts above who have they've got Christie, Alex Scott, and Tyler Adams in midfield at
Bournemouth finished 6th.
Right. And this is the point, right? So which really clubs do they go to where you go?
Well, you probably look at I'm just trying to think, who's coming
maybe
up.
Palace. Palace is a maybe.
Yeah, Coventry.
Possibly if Wharton goes, maybe Palace, but then you've got Will Hughes, you've got Lerma, you've got
Will Hughes, you can give or take. I mean, I'm never ever been impressed with Will Hughes.
Sure, but hang on. We can say that. Will Hughes, and again, right, people take this for what I'm not saying for Spurs. Will Hughes, whatever we think of him, plays week in, week out for Crystal Palace for every manager. Why?
Well, he does the dirty stuff, doesn't he?
He's a senior pro that does the job. If you're the manager, and I'm not going to ask you, Lubo, because you love Gray. If you're the manager still, are you really dropping Will Hughes for Archie Gray? Really?
No, I just think if we really want Tottenham to be a really, really good football team, we just need to get real about, look at what the competition looks like. Bergvall and Gray are nowhere near getting into those teams. So why do we think we're going to catch them with these players? And that's the reality of it, guys. That's the reality of it.
And that's my point. That's what I've argued for years is if we can't pinpoint 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the Premier League that we go, actually, if you sent this player there, he's guaranteed. If we can't do that, then why on earth do we want them at Tottenham? And that's ruthless, but that's what we need to be.
I think what it comes down to is there's a lot of fans who just want to see these players do well because they're Tottenham players, and we just, I'd love to see you. But if that's how we think, we're never going to progress. We just need to be that little bit ruthless and say, do you know what? I'd love to see you shine, but sorry, we've got big ambition at this club, and you're just not doing it right now.
Do we think, guys, that Graham Bergvall would maybe get 20 appearances over a season, which would probably be 15 more than they would get at Spurs?
Lubo, can I say this right? When
appearances, I'm not saying starts, I'm saying appearances.
Where?
Well, I just one of the comments on here. Gray to Leeds, Bergvall to Everton.
Okay, so I'll ask you this question. So again, we say this because he came from Leeds. Which of the 4 centre mids at Leeds United is he better than? Is he better than Stack? No, he is not. Is he better than Longstaff? No, he's not. Is he better than the Japanese player in central midfield, Tanaka? No. So where's he? And this isn't, again, I don't want this to sound, I'm not having a pop at Gray, please. No. I'm not. I just want to know, when we say just loan them, where?
Right. Listen, new environments, different manager, different style of play.
Sure.
These guys could thrive. We don't know. You know, there could be an injury. They could be in second game. All of a sudden, they start thriving under a new manager. They've got a new lease of life. And you just don't know in football. Football takes very, you know, there are lots.
I agree. On the surface level, Lubo, you've got to look and say, first and foremost, right? Let's be fair, right? If I'm Archie Gray's agent, right, and Stell is the technical director at Brighton, I don't know, Bournemouth, Brentford, whatever, and they go, hey, we want Archie Gray on loan. The first thing I'm doing as Gray's agent is going, how much game time is he getting? Right? Who's in front of him? Right? Who's in front of him? Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at that club and go, all right, well, he's got boom, 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 boom. Now, this is where fans get emotional about, but he's crap. Some of these players do such a good job. They just do a professional job for their club. I.e., I don't particularly rate Will Hughes, but Will Hughes plays week in, week out for Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have won 2 trophies in 2 years. You can't knock the lad, right? So does he go in there? I don't think he does. Does he get in at Leeds? Does he get in at Forest? Does he get in at Everton? Coventry have got a couple of really good midfielders. You watch when they come up. People like Rodoni. So that's my problem. The problem they go to Germany or to Italy or France.
Maybe they go abroad. Maybe they go into the Bundesliga.
Do you know? I go back to what I said earlier about. I've mentioned it a few times. I hate saying this, but they are the blueprint at the moment. Arteta had Maitland Miles, who everyone was saying, "Oh, yeah, good player, good player." Willock, good player. Balogun, who blew up the goal scoring charts in the academy system, and Saka. Of those 4, he got rid of all of them.
You're missing one.
Except there is one more.
Smith Rowe,
who I wanted at Tottenham at the time because I thought, what a footballer this guy is.
And they all went, right? They all went.
He moved them all on except for Saka. Smith Rowe is a bit unlucky because he had a couple of injuries. But he moved them all on. And look how it turned out. They won the league. And they got to the Champions League final and they were a couple of penalties away from winning that. And they came second in the league for a few years as well. And they lost the cup final as well to Man City this year. So I just think if those youngsters aren't shining and they're not shining fairly sharpish, you've just got to move them on. Balogun's done all right for himself. Smith Rowe's done all right. Willock did quite well at Newcastle, but none of them hit the heights of Saka. Saka is head and shoulders above all of those players. So they made the right decision. So I think Tottenham need to just be the same with the current youngsters we've got in the team and say, look, if you cut it and we see you as a player that can win a league title, great. But if not, as much as you might do well at another club, Tottenham's just not for you because we just think bigger than that. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong doing that.
Still, surely though, listen, I don't mind, right?
Mate, Smith Rowe's a good player, you know.
If you're playing one game a week, I met his parents at a wedding about 2 years ago, actually.
I like
anyway, if you're playing one game a week, if you turn around and go, okay, this is our young player. So, for example, if it is Gray, right? If that's the one, I've got no problem. You got the one, right? You got the one that this is the young guy. We can bring him on. But the Spurs have got Tell, Gray, Bergvall, Odegaard when he's back fit. Like these are all still, if we want to call them,
we've still got Phillips and Yang and Katai and all these other players.
You've got all of them. I just think the problem is, I think you've got to say this is our youngster that we want to progress and go with that youngster. Now, if that's Gray, do it. If it's Tell, do it. But too many people want Gray in the team and Bergvall in the team and Tell in the team. And you're not going to progress that way. You're just not. You can't develop them all at the same time. No one does it.
And they're not. And 5%, if we're lucky, 5% of the scholars that come through the academy ever make it at a top level anyway. And not even at Tottenham, at a top level.
4% still, 4%.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're going to argue over 1%.
No, I'm just saying. The stat you were close. The stats,
Can't you just nod your head and not correct me? I just say, yeah, all right, 5%.
4%. Whatever it is, 4%. It's a small amount.
4.7%.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
See, I'd like to see that, Lubo. I'll be honest, all right? Lubo, what I would like to see, if I'm being generous, in an ideal world, I don't really care for any of them. What I'd like to see in a kind world is this summer, get Bergvall on loan, get Gray out on loan, and get Tell out on loan, right? Tell them. Go, show us. Go out on loan. Whether it's Germany or Italy or France, show us. Go and have a season where Tottenham go, we can't ignore them. Look how good they were. Look, they were the main man. That's what I want to see. But the problem I think we've got is I think we've overjudged them. I see the way people talk about Tell, and I honestly go, are we watching the same football? Or I genuinely don't know what we're watching. And that's what I would do, Lubo. I don't know. That's just me. That's what I would do, being nice. I'd loan them out and say, right, who goes and grabs their chance away? That's what I would do. Well,
if you're looking at numbers, so forget Gunter, because Gunter was nowhere near a first, even though he's the one name on his name's at the bottom of the program. Take him out. You've got 28 players. Kulu, there's a question mark, isn't there? You got to say there's a question mark with Kulu. Will he come back?
Yeah.
Okay, so put Kulu to one side. That's 27. At the moment, you've got Polina, Basuma, and Mwani.
They've all gone.
That have gone. So you're down to 25?
Okay.
You're down to 25. You've got 5 kids out of 25 that are left here on there. And throw Sousa in as well. So who I fully expect to go out on loan. I can't see Spurs keeping him next season.
I agree.
With Van der Ven, Robertson, and Udogie as potential left backs. If you then sell Vicario, Dragusin is 2, Richarlison is 3, Romero is 4. That's 4. Possibly Spence is if Spence goes to Everton 5. Sarr 6. You're then down to 19, including 5 kids.
Sure. But then we're bringing in a winger, a striker, a midfielder, possibly a goalkeeper. So you're back up to that number.
Yeah. So if you bring in 7, so that takes you up to 26.
Right.
Takes you up to 26. Unless he brings anybody else in. I mean, the only players that I can actually see, I mean, Vuskovic, who knows what's going to happen? I wouldn't like to say what's going to happen. What would you do if you were Vuskovic? Forget Spurs. If you were Vuskovic, what would you do? I think, how old is he? 18? Is he 18?
19 now, I think.
19, okay. I think if I was, at the moment, he's under contract to us for 4 years. You send him out to Brighton on loan for a year, for me, because who knows what's going to happen in a year's time.
Sure.
Do you know Vuskovic?
I didn't ask that.
Point of view. I'm talking from a Spurs
point. Look, I didn't ask that. I specifically said not what Spurs. If you are Vuskovic, that was my question, because you've come at it there from a fan point of view. Vuskovic apparently
what's best for Spurs? From Vuskovic's point of view, I want game time.
Right, he wants to play, right? And he doesn't want a loan.
Well, he might have to. If Spurs want to keep him, then he needs to be persuaded.
He Spurs have to keep him, right? Last season, he outperformed Kusanov, Diomande, and Husin. He outperformed them all. For me, he is showing the signs of a player that's in the making of potentially a really, really good talent. However, he hasn't done it yet, so he can't be called that. What he needs is a loan to a Premier League club to see how do you handle it in the Prem. And if he handles it well, then you bring him back at Spurs. He has to go on a loan, but to a Prem club. Because
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but
he's
all
doing
the
all the right
noises that are coming out from his camp.
But he can't play at Tottenham though, because we've got too many defenders. He's not going to get the game time. He's not going to get the game time.
The coming out from him is that he doesn't want to go on loan again. He wants a settled place. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right, guys? I know that everyone just.
I agree, but he's not going to get that at Tottenham. He's not going to get it at Tottenham.
Right. So if we're Tottenham, and Vuskovic comes into the office of his agent and says, "We don't want another loan." Right, for the last 3-4 years we've been here, there, this country, that country, moving around. We want to go to a club, settle, and play for 3-4 years. What do Tottenham do? Because do you keep? You can't force a player on loan. That's the point, right? You can't force him to go.
Can I? No, you're absolutely right. Can I just say in the chat, people saying Vuskovic was terrible against England the other night. Mate, one bad game isn't how you analyse a player. Van Hecke the other night, our new signing, he wasn't particularly good. So don't judge a player because you've watched them once. Vuskovic is a good player, but he hasn't proven it at the level we need just yet. Look, Savva, I think he's under contract. Spurs just need to dig in their heels and say, no, you're under contract, but what we're going to do is this. You're going to go on loan to a Premier League club, repeat what you've done at Hamburg at that club, and if you show us the same there, we can guarantee you a place here. Go and make a name for yourself and see if you can persuade him.
Devil's advocate if again. Says, I've got to do this, though. Devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it from the player and the agent point of view here. I'm Vuskovic, right? Yeah. I'll come into the office here. I'm going to make which one? You're one of the Lewis family, Lubo, because I know you love them now.
You're Joe.
Still, you can be Lang or Vinay, whichever one you want, right?
Oh God,
you can be Lang. You can be Lang.
I want to be Joe. I want to be Joe.
On a serious note, right? You better believe the conversation is going to go this way. And people go, "You don't know that, Savva. These people aren't stupid." First thing his agent's going to turn around and say is, you can't guarantee my guy football next year. You have just signed 2 centre-backs on 5-year deals. You have just signed Senesi. I think they're 5-year deals, right? Whatever it is, you have just signed Van Hecke and Senesi, who are both much better than my client as of now, right?
Yeah.
You can't guarantee him games, right? That's the way they're going to look. And then you're going to go, Mickey van der Ven is still a Tottenham Hotspur footballer as well. Yeah. So if you're Vuskovic, you're looking and going, hang on, how do they guarantee me game time? Well, okay, I go on loan to Brighton for a year. I come back. Well, Senesi and Van Hecke have just won Player of the Year. I don't know. Do you see my point? It's an interesting one. Right?
I would listen. I'm good at sales. I would say Robertson's 32, Senesi's 29. They're going to be getting a little bit older next season. On top of that, if we qualify for Europe, we're going to need a squad. We're moving on Dragusin. We're moving on Romero. We may move on Danzo if he can't fit the style of play that we want. So we believe a place opens up next season, which is why we want you to go on loan this year, prove yourself, and the following season, as long as you do well on the loan, we can begin to guarantee you that. And I'd pitch it to them. And regardless of what he says, he's under contract. He did the same to Kane. Right. Kane wanted out. You're under contract.
Sure,
there's no going anywhere.
And the other two points are, you get regular football at Brighton, and you're getting paid very good money. So
listen, he's going to get paid good money where he's under contract with Spurs. He's going to get paid the same salary, right? Him going on loan anywhere doesn't change his salary for the year. I listen, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, guys. For me, I've watched him enough this year in Germany, and I think there's a good player there. I think there's a lot for him to develop, but I think there's a good player there. Do I think he's good enough for the Tottenham team? No, not now that you've got Van de Ven, Senesi and Van Hecke. I just think it's going to be a really interesting saga to see if him and his camps dig their feet in and say, we don't want a loan, he wants to leave. What do Tottenham do? Because there's a difference between saying we want you for the future, but if the player is saying, I don't want to be there,
Savva,
it's an interesting one.
I think we can squeeze one more loan out of him. At the end of next season, though, I think that becomes a very, very, very challenging conversation to watch. The relationship could just literally fall apart.
Would you take 50 million right now?
Yeah.
If for a player, if he didn't want to be it, if Brighton turn around and go 50 million on the table, basically what we paid for Van Hecke, are you taking 50 million right now?
I think you get
100%.
I think you get 60.
Sure. I'm just
sure.
Yeah, sure. I'm just rounding it to...
I would take 60 because you've got the big clubs, the very big clubs that are looking.
Would you not take 50, Lubo? Would you not take 50?
I'd take 50.
I think he's worth 60. 50. I think
no, but Savva's question is, would you take 50? And you come in saying no.
No, I'd take 60.
So someone offered you 50 million
for a 19-year-old that hasn't played for us ever.
Correct, because he could be £100 million player in 3 or 4 years' time.
Sure, but again,
that's a big if, though. That's a massive if.
Right,
for a 19-year-old.
For a
19-year-old,
are we doing that thing again where we're so worried about the future? If you said to me, like right now, if you said to me, 50 million for Vuskovic, right? A guy now, if he goes on to be the world's greatest defender, so be it. We've still made £50 million for the now. If you said to me, you're going to get 50 million for Vuskovic, but you can go and buy a striker or a winger at 50 million for now, I'm all over that. I am all over that. Doesn't mean I don't like Vuskovic, by the way, guys, but I'm thinking of now. Like,
I think it's really, really, really risky to look at a 19-year-old and think, you might be worth 100 million in 4 years. Unless he's Yamal, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and you say this kid's going to be worth mega money. To say that with a Vuskovic, I think it's a massive, massive assumption to assume. Listen, I did a video on him, and I was surprised how well he fared against other young centre-backs who were 2 years older than him. I think he's going to be a very good player. I think he is going to develop into a top talent. However, until he does it, he hasn't done it.
So you know what? I don't think he will.
I can't assume he's going to do it and therefore value him at 100 million now. I can't. I think that's.
Do you know why I don't think he'll get to the 100 million value? I think
that's so far fetched.
I think it's one. How many times do we do this with 18, 19-year-olds where they're going to be the next big thing over the next 2 years? Two, pace. Whenever I've watched him for Hamburg, again, I think I saw it last night.
He lacks pace.
The lack of pace. If I'm a striker with clever movement, I am happy to play against him. However, in the air, in a battle, he's got it. So I think that's where he will just fall short for me. But I don't want to be that person that's worried about the future all the time with every young player.
You know what is good about Vuskovic, though? He doesn't make many tackles because he reads the game so well. He doesn't need to. And when he does make tackles, his passing completion rate is better than a lot of young defenders. So he's very successful when he has to commit. But again, I think he's going to be really good. But I'm not going to say he's really good, though, until he actually does it. Because Saliba, he went to Arsenal as a young kid. We wanted Saliba. He went to Arsenal. He went on loan for 2-3 years, came back. Now look at him. Vuskovic has to go on loan for a few games. And if he comes back to us from another club, he then has to emulate that. I don't think you can value him at anything above 50 million.
I'll take 50.
Right now at 19, I don't. Yeah, because it's just do you know what? You never really know how youngsters are going to turn out 100% unless they are Like Wayne Rooney, we knew from day one, this guy's the fucking nuts. Right? This is a young, world-class talent. We knew. You can't say that about Vuskovic. We can't.
Still, let me ask you a question. How many kids of 19 have played a year in the top division in Croatia, then a year in the top division in Belgium, and then a year and been a massive standout in the Bundesliga? Now, would we say that the Bundesliga is the closest league?
It wasn't particularly wow in the Belgium league. It's only last season he's really developed.
He's really rocketed. And
this year
he's starting for Croatia in the World Cup at the age of 19.
Yeah, but don't you think, Lubo?
How many 19-year-olds are there starting in the World Cup?
There's a few, actually. I've actually seen quite a few. But yeah,
can I be honest with you? There's a lot of young players in the World Cup I've never seen before who are looking.
How many centre-backs are starting at 19?
Yeah, but look to Croatia last night, Lubo. Come to Croatia last night.
And I actually, I'm going to say something that's going to annoy people. Sorry, I actually thought they got better at the back when he went off. I'm just going to say I thought they looked less.
Yeah, because he's 19, right? It makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
Right. But this is the point. Still, I'm not knocking him because for me, I think Lubo's the world's best or worst at this, whichever angle you come from. His belief in every young footballer, I've never known anyone like it. Like, I think Vuskovic is good, but I'm not somebody who's going to worry 4 years down the line. And what I mean by this, Stel, is if Spurs sold him now I'll meet you in the middle, Lubo. If Spurs sold him tomorrow for 55 million quid, bearing in mind, I think we paid 10, 11, right?
Yeah, 11 million.
If you've made 45 million quid on a kid who's never played for you, right, as pure profit, and if that money, lots of ifs here, and if that money goes into this project, hate the word, but if that money goes into this project and Spurs skyrocket under De Zerbi and we buy Tonali and you get Tony and you get all these players, why do we care then what happens to Vuskovic in the future? Why do I care 4 years down the line? Because if Tottenham, what am I trying to say? If Tottenham do what we should do, forget any player, if we do what we should do, under De Zerbi, and the plan is in 3-4 years, look at the squad he's built, look how good we are. Even if he's sold from Brighton for £100 million in 4 years, why does that concern us 4 years down the line? Like, what would it matter?
I would personally keep Vuskovic. I think he's going to be good. However, I'm also open to, if someone says here's 50 million, okay.
Especially with Lubo Zenic 2.0, we're going to spend it really wisely, right, Lubo?
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go.
But no one's going to offer. But no one's going to offer 50 million. Do you know why? Because he's not worth 50 million right now.
It all depends how much. It all depends which clubs go in. Barcelona and Bayern Munich have both shown a lot of.
Lubo, Saliba got sold for 30 million when he was 18, 19. Are you telling me Vuskovic is worth more than him at the same age? I don't think that's.
I don't know.
Look. Well, no, I'm asking you.
Still, there's been listen, Saliba is a much better centre back than Vuskovic currently, obviously.
Oh, he's class.
But you've got
he went for 30 million at the same age, and we're saying 50, 60.
Hang on, but still, there's.
Sorry, no, you're saying 100 million.
No, I'm saying no. I'm not saying that he's worth 100 million now. What I'm saying is that if you get the interest, I think Spurs could get 60 million for him. Because he's played in the top division 3 years running.
Did you say he might be worth 100 million one day?
No, going forward in the future. I'm not talking about now. I'm saying I think.
What centre back's been sold for more than 70 million ever?
Van Dijk.
How much did he go for?
75. So
we're saying that Vuskovic could be worth 25 million pounds more than Van Dijk in his prime when he got sold.
Well, you got to remember that there's been massive transfer inflation since then. Still,
there is. Yeah, I think we've got to take that into account. The transfer inflation. I've
never known a centre back to be sold for that kind of money.
I think Lubo is right in the sense of
Harry Maguire, 80 million.
I don't agree with it, right? But I think Lubo is right because the world's gone mad. Like, players now have one good year and people go 80 million. Like, people are valuing a player I like, by the way, Alex Scott, I think is a really good footballer. They're like,
yeah, he's good.
We want 80 million. 80 million? For 80 million, I want the man, right? So all I'm saying is, and look, I'm not too bothered. I think so many people get in their knickers in a twist about Vuskovic, a guy that, let's be honest, most of our fans who go, oh my God, he's amazing. How many Hamburg games do you think they watched last year? Right? All I got sent last year, guys, and you were one of them, Lubo, I get sent videos of Vuskovic scoring volleys. And I'm like, I don't care about him scoring goals. What does he do as a defender? But if we could sell him
for us last season, couldn't he, Sav? He had done better than Ioane and Solanke.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be interesting. All I'm saying is, for once, I just want Spurs, and I'm going to wrap up now. I can't believe we've been going 2 hours. I just want Spurs to act just for once, for the now. Like, just for once. I don't want to worry about... Look, Man City sell Cole Palmer. And people go, oh, I bet they regret it. Why? Why do Man City regret? They've got Foden. They've had Silva. They've got Cherky. They don't regret selling Cole Palmer, right?
Doku.
These people, these big teams don't regret these things. So when we're sitting here going, this is the best young player we've ever had. First of all, we don't know that. Second of all, right, what he could become or does become, I don't cry over spilt milk. That's like me saying, oh, I split up with my wife. I'm worried about who she's going to end up with in 4 years. 4 years, I'm not going to know her, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that's a bit of a drastic thing. And if my wife's watching, I'm sure she's not. Don't leave yet. Let's pay a bit more of the mortgage off. But, you know, I just feel like we shouldn't be worried.
I love you. I care about you, but let's pay off the mortgage.
Pay a bit of the mortgage off. Do you know what I mean, though, guys? Like, just, I see so many people worrying about things that, let's be fair, don't affect us. I.e., if Brighton signed him now for Lubo 60 million, right? And they sell him in 4 years for 100. That money difference makes no difference to my life at all as a football fan. It makes no difference at all. And I'm very comfortable with Senesi and Van de Ven and Van Hecke.
But we do this,
right? Like,
but Savva, we do this all the time. We're worried about 4 years' time when right now it's collapsing.
Bang on.
We got to focus on the here and now. We have to, otherwise we're never going to get to that 4 year place we think we're going to get to. It just won't happen.
Still, I want to build an outhouse in my garden, right? I'm not going to do that before I fix my kitchen and my bathroom inside my house. Get my house sorted, then I can start all the fancy add-ons, right?
You did the bar first, though, didn't you?
I did build a bar.
I
have.
And what about the tree? What about the tree?
Oh, the fucking tree. This fucking tree in my garden. Anyway, look, guys, I need to do some super chats and we'll leave it there. Basically, there's a tree in my garden still. I hate it. The wife loves it. It's a tree that many years ago actually fell over. So it's laying on its side, sticking up. And anyway, shit story. Right, let's go. Let's do some super chats. Emma Morton. Thanks, Emma, always for your support. Always very generous to me. Thank you, Emma. Hope you and your family are well. Thank you very much. Big up to my man, Andy Lester. So big up, Savva. 1 year. Hope the job is going well. You have been a member for 1 year. The job is going very well. My CFO is actually a Tottenham fan. So it's interesting talking football with a CFO. They're all the same. They're all the same, guys. It's like talking to Daniel Levy, Lubo's mate. Big up to you, Andy. Thank you very much. Big up to Tony Rodriguez. So we need a left winger, right winger, striker, goalkeeper. And I agree. I don't think we'll get Locatelli, but I agree. I think we need two wingers. I think we need a striker. We need a goalkeeper. And I think we need a centre mid. And if we got all that, who knows? Big up to you, Tony. Really appreciate that, my man. Oh, by the way, Tony, you were born in Cape Verde, if I'm not wrong. Well done to your boys. Go on the Cape Verdeans. Big up to Rank King. Love that. Rank King. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much. Very generous of you indeed. TT Dub 321. So big up Savva and Lubo, and Stell's now joined. Keep the content coming. I'll do something again over the weekend. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Come on, you Spurs. Whole Spurs. Good day to you, sir. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Really appreciate you. Big up to Tony. He's come back in again and said, panel, do you want Bergvall and Gray to stay? I think we gave that a good old conversation earlier. Not from me. Yes, for Lubo, I think. And still, I don't think he's bothered either way. But we'll see. Big up to you, Tony. Appreciate that. Big up to A User, member for 3 months. And I hear Liverpool has knocked on the door for VDV. I saw that link earlier. I don't think it was from anyone of note. I'll be absolutely surprised if Van der Ven, after getting Van Hecke to join and posing in photos of him, then goes to Liverpool. We'll see. Again, if you're giving me 80 million for Van der Ven, 70 million, sure, let him go. There's other players, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Big up to you. Big up Andy again. We're down to the last four. Said Fofana over Savio for me. Ramos from PSG. Good window. Listen, I quite like Malik Fofana as well. I think he's a good player. Ramos, Gonzalo Ramos, difficult, isn't it? Because I think he's a really good player, but has never had a run of games anywhere for the last 3 years, right? So I don't know, but I like him. Big up to you, my man. Big up to Coys, whole Spurs again. Said 17 and 18. Which players stay for the new season? Leaving open positions. I think we talked about it, didn't we? I think we agreed that it'll be. I'll take players away rather than do. 17 and 8. Which players stay for new season? Leaving open positions. 17 and 8. Oh, I see what you mean. I think we agreed. Sarr, Dragusin, Romero, possibly Spence,
Vicario,
Richie, Adogi, possibly. Yeah. So I think.
And you've lost 3 loans already. You got Muani, Basuma's now gone, and Polinia. So there's 9.
There you go.
I'm really gutted about Muani.
Yeah, I'm sure. Corey's Old Spurs again, very generous. Thank you so much. Has said surely any of the 3 promoted teams would take them on loan, hard graft, but at least Premier games week in, week out. Possibly. But again, when I watch Coventry City play, I was really impressed with their midfield. I was really impressed, and we don't know who they're going to buy. But look, that's only my opinion. I don't think if I'm a promoted team, I'm looking and the first thing I'm saying, and I don't know if these two agree with me, and I don't really want to start another debate, but the first thing I'm saying, if I'm a new manager coming, a new team, is I need Prem proven and I need senior players to help me stay in the Premier League. Is that buying Gray or Bergvall in central midfield going to do that for you? I'm not sure it is for me. When we talk about promoted teams still, is that your go-to as a promoted team, is to go and buy kids, or is it to buy established pros that help you? I don't know.
I actually think maybe Gray back to Leeds on a loan might.
I think he gets in.
What, Hull Ipswich?
I don't know if he gets. I don't know if he'll get all the minutes, but I don't know. I think Leeds actually quite highly regarded him. I thought they were quite happy with him. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I just think maybe that's
I think alone, like what honestly, I think big up Lee, by the way. Yeah, and yeah, no one's allowed to. Touching that tree. If I touch anything on that tree, like the apples, and I'll get in trouble. Big up to all of you. I would do what we've done with Vuskovic. Why not look at a team in the German league that, in a different league, and say, right, go and show everyone. But hey, guys, thank you, Lubo. Thank you very much, Stelios. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that.
Hold on. Sorry, Viv. Great show. Great show. That's from Viv.
Yeah.
Can you have a membership? I'll ask him.
By the way, I've been giving
Keep buying those players, Viv.
I've been giving Lubo a stick all day because he was the leader of ENIC out. He was the leader of we've all got to protest their terrible.
No, he still was the leader. I can't take credit. Still was the leader of ENIC out.
Lubo he isn't flip-flop like you.
Lubo is the biggest flip-flop Havana wearing, beach strolling YouTube content creator I've ever met.
All I've said, hang on, still. Let me just clarify.
If you're a footballer, you'd play the 6 and the 8 because you like to pivot. You'd play the 6 and the 8 because you like to pivot.
Right. Listen, you've got to be hybrid sometimes. What I have said is that they have made an encouraging start to the transfer window. That's what I've said. If that makes me a flip-flop, that makes me a flip-flop.
No. This is not all you've said, but I am not going to continue this show. Guys, I'll leave it there. Let's see, right? All the news is hotting up about Tonali. Let's see. Do Spurs Do Spurs get him, or is it going to be inevitable that we don't? We'll see. Guys and girls, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. And please subscribe to Tottenham. Oh, is the channel now called Tottenham Away again?
Tottenham Away, LA.
It's changing it. Okay, Tottenham Away, LA, and Lubo and Johnny over at
Spurs 5.
There you go. Okay, I was waiting for you to promote it. All right. Over at Spurs 5. Guys, girls, much love. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Really appreciate you. Smash the likes. Have a great weekend. And as always, this is where Lubo normally says Enoch out, but he's very much Enoch in. Enoch out. And come on, you Spurs.
You Spurs.
Joe Love.